Y'all know what time it is. It is the In This Scope podcast with your boy Joshua M. Hicks, senior writer for War Media. You can follow me on Instagram and the Twitter at Josh M. Hicks Media. And to this week's show, I got a very special guest of mine, a very big friend of the War Media family, and someone that I've grown to, I've been on the show with, and this dude is hilarious to me. I love this dude's character, man, and his personality. He is an hilarious brother, but he is someone that he's an award-winning journalist, Phoenix Suns beat reporter for the Arizona Republic, Duane Rankin, man. Duane, how you doing, brother?
Yo, you doing the Steve Harvey intro. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. I'm good. Just busy, brother. You?
Likewise, man. I appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy man. It's a lot going down where you at right now with the Phoenix Suns. So we're just gonna jump right into it, man. The big news of the NBA right now. The owners being investigated for racism and misogyny, rumors and accusations. And before we got on this interview for the show, there's another report that recently came out that I'm pretty sure you're aware about regarding how his wife has been sending text messages to former employees in the ways of intimidating them, according to, ESPN
employees. Right.
So before we jump fully into what all this means, Duane, what was it? Where were you when you heard this news break out? Like, what was you doing? What was going through your mind when all this broke out?
Well, the thing is, I mean, everyone knew, it was coming. It just was a matter of when, but after that tweet that went out, people started doing due diligence, really. I mean, I started making calls. So I knew who had been talked to, and then I knew sort of a timetable of when it may come out. Now, I wasn't sure about the exact date, but I knew it was coming, as did others. But so you're talking with people, and then they're telling you, okay, this is what I heard someone said, or this is what so and so said. So you're getting kind of a feel for it, but nothing like what eventually came out. I mean, that was some pretty heavy stuff. And so I believe I was working, obviously. so I was working, and then whoop, and I was like, okay, here we go. That was it. There wasn't no more, wasn't no reaction like, oh wow, it was okay, let's start. Dig up what you got already, look at this story, and let's go from there. And that's what it's been ever since. It hasn't been it's been in mode, really, trying to get to the next story. What's the next story? What's the next story? What's the next? So, when you do this stuff, you can't get caught up emotionally on how it's flowing, because my phone's been ringing off the hook since the story dropped. This is what I know. This is what I don't know. This is what I heard, or have you heard this? So you're getting back and forth from all over. The whole he said, she said, you're getting a lot of that after the story drops. So now it becomes, how do you dissect that? Okay, what needs to go in? What doesn't need to go in? What should be taken? You should take all of it seriously, but you have to determine a lot within all that. And so when you hear people talking about the process of it, taking it all in, there's truth in that, and trying to digest all of that.
You mentioned how, this was something that was building up. This wasn't anything new. Like, when did all this really start for you as a reporter, reporting on this situation? When was it first? When did you really start, reporting on this behind the scenes before it blew up to what it is now?
Well, I mean, you're getting calls. Like let's say something happens, like, for example, something happens with the season ticket prices going up. All right, then that leads to people commenting about Sarver. All right, well, they don't like him for this, or they don't like him because of that, or, so then, if you really look at it, which is the irony of all this in a way, when he hired Monty Williams, that was like a plus. You know what I mean? Like that took some of that sting out of people having issues with him. It was like, okay, he did a good thing now, you know. And then they go on to win and get to the NBA Finals. Then it's like, okay, he's all right. He's all right. You know, he's got these issues. He's all right. But then, you know, when that tweet hit, that resurfaced what you had heard in terms of, you know, now again, the fullness of it, I didn't know all of that. So what I knew was people questioning who we, you know, talking about him and disliking him. But, you know, the whole racism and misogyny wasn't part of those conversations that I had. And so, you know, I'm not trying to read between the lines. Okay, I like looking at the lines. So once that tweet hit, then you started talking with people, and then you're getting a little more of still he said, she said, but you're getting some of that. And then again, the story itself just, you know, took that and just took it to another place. So that's where we are right now.
I feel like it's such a bad timing for the Suns for this to come out, especially with the Suns, because of their recent finals run, the connections that they made with Chris Paul and getting him to come back. You just re-signed Mikal Bridges to come back. Like, you have a championship roster currently in place, and to impede on that progress because now of this big situation coming out, I feel like it can be as impactful as potentially maybe Donald Sterling with the Clippers. And, you know, we saw the behind the scenes of how that impacted players.
Right.
Do you think that could be a similar position here with the Phoenix Suns, considering all the successes they had recently?
I mean, they got Chris Paul on the team, so if anybody can help them navigate through it, it's him, because he went through it. So, you know, so they got right away somebody that fully understands what the process of it. So that's one. Two, you know, every team is different. Every situation is different. You know, this might be something that rallies them, you know, in a weird way. You don't ever want to look at something like this, and because you're talking about allegations of racism using the N-word. And I mean, most of the team, you know, they're African Americans. So the coach is an African American. The GM is an African American. So you know that's clearly something that has to be on their minds when they're thinking about this. But you know, basketball, some people don't like this theory, but it's you know, Chris Paul talked about it in a way, it's an escape. And so the game could easily be an escape for them, and they could easily lock them in. I mean, they won 5 games in a row now. And now all of that wasn't during this, you know, when this dropped, but they're playing better basketball now than they did to start the season. You know, it's excluding the fourth quarter last night. But, you know, so that stuff, you know, it just depends on the individuals really. And if you have, who's to say what may affect them, what story may affect them, what news may affect them. So you have really no idea, and then it becomes a guessing game. Okay, say they were losing, and it's like, oh, they're losing because of this situation. So how do you judge that? Do you say, okay, they're winning because they're not thinking about it when you know they're thinking about it? If they're losing, say, well, that's why they're losing, but you know, that they have a job to do. I mean, so it's all the variables in trying to determine why they're winning or losing, or whether this is going to affect how they play the game. You know, Coach Williams has talked about that every team has distractions. And so this is clearly a distraction. So how they go about the day-to-day of it, because at any point in time, something can drop. And at any point in time, you know, the investigation's already started. So they already know, okay, clock's ticking. Now, how long is that going to be? When I looked at the Dallas Mavericks situation, I believe, it was months. I mean, it was a months of work. So I don't expect this to be over, in a week. I expect this to run deep, and it could be the entire season and even beyond that before they come to a conclusion. So if it happens prior where the decision is made, and then you start seeing some ramifications from it, then that would be when, as they say, the other shoe dropping. So, but right now, they're just, they're talking about focusing on basketball, but I'm sorry, you can't. There's no way you can hear what you heard or read what you read, whether it's allegations or not, and not have it affect you. There's just no way there's just no way of getting around that.
Yeah, it's when I first heard about this, it really gave me Donald Sterling vibes, and we know how the Donald Sterling situation played out, where Adam Silver ultimately stepped in and pretty much removed him from ownership, and that allowed the new owner to come in. I don't know if that could happen again, but in case it does, and Phoenix can potentially have a new owner, who would you ideally think would be the best candidate or a really good candidate to go for that ownership role?
It's hard to really say because, ultimately you got to have the dollars. So that narrows the field. You know what I mean? Like, not too many people can be the majority owner of an NBA team. And the Suns' value was a lot higher than it was when Sarver bought the team. So, that's really hard to say what kind of person you want. Obviously the person has to have money, but that's just a tough call. You obviously want someone that, loves the game, enthusiastic about his players, wants the best for his players, wants his best for the organization. And that would be, if I could just sum it up in a nutshell, that would be three huge things. Obviously, you got to have the dollars, obviously care for the players' welfare, and the coaches and staff welfare. And you can find someone who has those qualities, then you would think that the other stuff would take care of itself. But, you're talking, it's going to be a businessman or businesswoman. You don't know. But it's going to be someone that's involved in business. So it's still going to be about business at the end of the day, too. So that has to be taken into account. But we're ways away from that. I hear the Sterling comparisons. With the major differences, they had the audio with Sterling, and right now I don't see any audio from Sarver. But with an investigation, you never know what can be dug up. So we'll see.
Yeah, it's a really sticky situation going on in Phoenix with that. So like I said, hopefully that can be resolved and everything will be, whatever comes up out of this can be resolved and handled in a professional way that needs to be handled. Especially
it'll be handled. It's just a matter of the results of it. The investigation will play itself out. How those rulings affect people is the real story to me. The ramifications are one thing, the results are one thing, but what it makes others do, what it makes Sarver do, what it makes Sarver do, what it makes other people in that organization do, that's what you're waiting on. But what those results are and how that impacts other people.
Yep, that's very true. That's very true. Everybody listening right now, you're listening to Duane Rankin of the Arizona Republic. Duane, obviously, before the season started, the Phoenix Suns pretty much did everything that they can to recoup the same roster from last year's finals run, and they re-upped Chris Paul, they re-upped Mikal Bridges, but they didn't re-up DeAndre Ayton. Talks fell through reportedly because of a fifth-year deal that didn't happen.
Right.
What from your reporting and what you've seen and heard behind the scenes, what took place with that? situation? And is there actually a chance that DeAndre Ayton really is going to walk away from the Suns past this season?
It's just, I mean, the Suns had a couple of things in leverage. One, Aiden's still under contract. So, they didn't have to give him a max extension. And that's obviously the issue. They wanted the Suns, Aiden wanted the max extension. He wanted what, Trae Young, and obviously Luka got the super max because of him being an all-star, or all league, I'm sorry. But, you have Young, Michael Porter Jr., Shea, getting max extensions. And he's like, I just did my thing to help us get to the finals. So where's mine? So, you're feeling disappointed. He's feeling disappointed. He's feeling disrespected. And I think that, that crept into the negotiation, like, hey, what's up? And so you're getting obviously this, well, they didn't offer anything, and then, or it didn't seem like really negotiations were going down, and it's like Sun side, and it's like, it's just so much. It's the epitome of why the negotiations fell through. You've got two sides speaking two different languages. That's all you need to know why that didn't happen. So now, you're talking about a player who not only got to take into account that, but now that he's injured, now he's got to take into account his future. Because this is it. This season, a lot is riding on this. Now, he would have got his money, then it'd be a different deal. But now, this season, a lot's riding on the line, and DeAndre Ayton may not be in no rush to get back. You got to be close to 100% in his pocket. Don't listen. It's like football in the sense where, they say everybody's 100% until they get hit, and then they're not 100% no more. Basketball is similar. It's not obviously the full contact sport, but once you get hurt, that's bothering you probably, I would dare to say, for a good portion of the season. You might be back on the court playing. You're not 100% once you get back. Then it takes time to get back. So, he's probably taking that into account. I don't know this for a fact, but he's probably taking that into account now in terms of his future. Look, he has to be healthy to have the kind of season. Obviously, the Suns can, the qualifying offer, I think it's like 16, 18 million, something like that. But look, man, they're in a situation right now where he's a huge part of this team. And I thought, honestly, that the majority of the Suns fans, that they got behind him on this. They had been really, there was a time where they was, it was all talking about Luka. Why didn't they pick Luka? They should have picked Luka. That was a whole talk. That's when Aiden's name came up. The next sentence was, they should have drafted Luka. After the finals, the narrative shifted a little bit, and then after him not getting paid, then it becomes, Suns, what are y'all? What are you guys doing? How come you're not paying this guy? Especially, when other guys were getting paid. So now, there's a lot stirring in this situation. And DeAndre Ayton, I look at him and I see a player that what's crazy about, as good as he played in the playoffs, he could be even better. Like the ceiling is just so high for the guy. Question is, will he ever reach it? And, if the Suns truly believe that he can or get close to it, then something will get worked out in the summer. If they don't, that whole walking away that you're talking about, that's in the cards. That the negotiations that they had before, obviously if you're a restricted free agent, teams can make offers and you can match it. But man, this is why people talk about the importance of winning, because that makes players view things differently. If the Suns were losing and this was a bad team, this might be going a whole different route. So I just think that Ayton has so much going within this right now, and hopefully for his, I see a young man, at this point in his career, thinking and trying to navigate all this, and now with the Sarver situation, the contract, not playing. Ugh. It's a lot. It's a lot for him. And so we'll see how he responds to this, because he's got guys around him that are, supportive of him, but he's needed for this team. Make no mistake about it. You can have JaVale McGee playing, JaVale showing some good moments. You can have Frank Kaminsky showing some good moments, but at the end of the day, they're not doing what they need to do to try to win the championship without DeAndre Ayton. And the Suns do know that.
Yeah, you brought up a good point about how with the Sawyer situation taking place now, especially since this offseason, the two couldn't come together on an agreement. I was wondering, and it may not have been reported or anything like that, and you may or may not know, but I wonder how much of an impact, since you said this has been slowly but surely brewing over time with the Sawyer situation, could that have also impacted those negotiations as well during that time frame? I don't know how long this has been taking place, but since you said it's been brewing for a while, do you think that could potentially play a role too, where you said it was talking two different languages? Maybe that was one of the languages. I
don't know. I don't know, to be honest with you. But Sarver signs the checks, but I don't know if that was part of it. It's like Sarver's whole thing is, okay, let James handle that. Let the GM handle that. So now, but again, the GM is probably going back to the owner and saying, hey, look, how much money are we talking here? How much do we really want to spend on him right now? So that conversation had to take place. So, because you got to figure out the dollars. You got to figure out how much you're willing to pay. So, that conversation definitely went down. So, how much it impacted, I'm sure that if the owner signs the checks, the GM has to know how much the owner was willing to pay, or the GM has to say to the owner, hey, look, we should pay this, or however that went down, however that conversation went between James Jones and Robert Sarver. Then James is taking that information and applying it to negotiations with Ayton's people. So, but did that ultimately decide whether Ayton got the deal or not? It just feels like a lot more variables going on and outside of that. But make no mistake, it was over money, and the team owner signs the checks. So I'll just leave it at that.
That's true. I feel that.
I'll just leave it at that. You can read into it, whatever, but if the team owner signs the checks and it was over dollars and years for an extension, yeah.
Well, we know someone that didn't have a problem with that scenario in Chris Paul, and
they took care of him right out the gate, which was the top priority. That was the top priority. Top priority was take care of Chris Paul first, and then figure out the rest. So the rest we now know.
Yeah, we definitely do. And clearly, like you said, it's slow. They had a little bit of a rough start to the season.
Right.
But
1-3. Yeah.
Yep, 1-3. But they made up for it. They said, like I said, on a 5-game winning streak. With the West being as loaded as they are now, and even more than last year, considering last year there was a lot of injuries that did take place that kind of helped their way a little bit, make easier paths to the finals.
Right. They'd be upset with you if you repeated that to them, but yeah. Yeah.
True.
It had something to do with it, though. We all know that.
Yeah, so a little something.
Yeah, Kawhi out. Yeah, it has something to do with it.
So, with that being said, where's the ceiling for this season this year? How far do you think this team currently constructed can go?
I mean, with a healthier Ayton and everybody healthy, I mean, they should be right there. I mean, it's so weird looking at the season because I expected Utah to do what they're doing. They're just a really good team. They just, blundered the playoffs, and they should have been in the conference finals at least. No Kawhi, they should have just been like, okay, let's handle the Clippers, and didn't. And so I think they're back on a mission, and they seem to be playing like it. Golden State, wow. Steph, and that's just insane what they're doing. Like, really, like you're watching them play. And I know they've had some games where they played some teams that aren't very good, but so has Phoenix. So I'm looking forward to seeing when Golden State and Phoenix play 3 times in December. That can't come here soon enough, to be honest with you. So that can't come soon enough. But you're looking at Golden State, you're looking at Utah, you're looking at Phoenix, Dallas. You're looking at, the Lakers is just such a mystery because, guys have been hurt and don't know what's going on with, Westbrook. And he's catching a lot of flack right now for why it's going the way it's going. Well, hey, look, man, the dude is still a great player. He just trying to, he has things about his game that you just have to live with. And the turnovers is part of that. Suns have a situation here. Devin Booker, he can be turnover prone, but they have a way of making it work when he does have those moments. So the teams out there, Dallas again, Jason Kidd, I think that you're seeing a different kind of play a little bit. I like how they're using Brunson. I like how they're letting him play with the ball and let Luka play off the ball a little bit more. I thought it was too much Luka ball, as far as that goes. But when I look at just the teams, and I look at the standings, my whole thing has always been just seeing how, teams start fast. Okay, can they sustain? And like I said, I look at teams that really intrigue me early. Obviously, those are the top 4 that I just named, but teams that intrigue me early, man, Memphis. I'm telling you, man, that
yeah,
they got a young team that's got some dogs on that team, man. They're just young. Like it's sad that all that's not gonna stay together for like 6-7 years, like it would be back in the day, because they could really do some damage. So I'm curious to see who they end up keeping long term. But right now, man, I really like that team, man. I just like how they go about playing. And look, man, the Suns are right there because they've got 2 closers in Devin Booker and Chris Paul. And Mikal Bridges is growing. Like, you watch him play, and his confidence is insane right now. Like, he literally thinks he can do whatever he wants. That's where we're at right now. He's always had like a little cockiness to him. It's subtle. You'd have to really know him who he is. But man, he's feeling it right now. 90 mil. He's just like, yo, I'm here. So, I'm about to make this happen. And so he's playing well, and they're not shooting ideally the way they want, but they'd have to have some good games of shooting the ball. So, those are the 5 teams that I'm looking at, along with obviously the Lakers. Curious to see Denver, whenever Murray can get back. But the Klay Thompson, if he comes back 80% of himself, joining what they got going right now. They're the best defense in the league, with the most prolific shooter in the league, with arguably one of the best arguably the best defender in the league, and just young gunners who went through some trial and error. when they were losing. And now they feeling like, they've arrived. Like I said, December can't get us. Woo-hoo! That Christmas game is gonna be fire. I'm telling you. So let's can we fast forward. But the West is tough. But there are some teams a lot of these teams that beaten, like New Orleans is struggling, Houston is struggling. They kind of been in that mix of losing to these top teams. So when these top teams finally start playing each other, I'm curious to see how that all plays out. But the top is thick, and the Clippers are. I wouldn't sleep on the Clippers either. Paul George, he's balling.
Yeah,
he's balling. Like, I mean, it's like he's back in Indiana style, and putting up even greater numbers, So he's balling. So he's holding it down. So there's a lot of great teams. Great to really good teams, because that word great, it just gets thrown around a bit too much for me. Like I'm hearing teams that got like 2 wins. We got a great team. No, you don't. You know what I mean? If you had a great team, you wouldn't have just 2 wins. I mean, there's no offense to it. I mean, I get what they're saying. They're confident in what they have, but let's just stop throwing that word around like it's just, no. There are great teams. Some of y'all are not great teams. Just chalk it up as it is. You're not a great team. You maybe have some great players, really good players, but you're not a great team. So the teams that are great are the ones that are winning. And then if you got injury issues, okay, then that's affecting your greatness. Lakers being a prime example. But I'll just close out in saying, listen, Carmelo Anthony, he's doing it, man. Yeah. Like, this guy, man, he is doing it. Like, I'm sitting there I'm like, I didn't know how that was going to work playing with that team. But I think the best thing that happened to him was the Portland situation. Yeah. Because he learned how to play off ball and learn how to not be the guy. Dame's the guy. So he's playing off of Dame Lillard. And now he just taking that experience and moving it over. He's fully accepted the idea of him being a role player. He's thriving, man. He's like Derrick Rose, to me, set the standard. You can be a great player and then you're not the guy, but you're still contributing. But Melo got a more offensive boom than D Rose. D Rose still has to dribble and do all this other stuff to kind of get it going. Melo would shoot, catch and shoot. So the Lakers have something with him. How they can manufacture all that rest of it, curious to see where they are a month from now.
That's true. And I'll even take it a step further with Melo. I think what really prepared Melo for Portland was really Olympic Melo.
Right.
Because Melo had to play off the ball, and his best role was to catch and shoot, which is what he's already doing now in Los Angeles. Now, Melo needs to come back around on the road games. Dude only shooting 6% from the 3 on the road. I don't know what to tell you, bro. Like, you gotta get. You
love it at home, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, at home is another story.
But you're right, though. His road 3 is under shaky. Okay, like it's like there's shaky, and then there's below shaky. It's below shaky, but man, at least he understands what his role is. Yeah. They're still trying to figure it out with Russ, and part of that's going to be partly on Russ. Part of that, I think, is on LeBron to help him understand that, and quite frankly, part of it's the coach, man. Coach has got to be like, listen, this is what it is, and Frank Vogel. Man, boy, if it goes down, I know Russ will catch probably the heat, unfortunately for him. Vogel's gonna be a close second. If not,
I think Vogel will be gone. I think Vogel will be gone.
That's what I mean. Yeah. If it don't work, I mean, because they're not supposed to have this roster. Okay, when they had no money, you were like, what are they gonna do? And they went from what are they gonna do to coming up with this? And then now you don't. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know either, man. It's LA is a unique story for sure.
Yes, it is.
But especially now that when you compare it to your Phoenix Suns, I mean, the connection is very unique. You're talking about a Lakers team with a LeBron James that does appear to be more human year by year now.
Right, they keep saying that. Yeah.
With his injuries and everything taking place, having a hard time staying healthy.
Right.
You may have to look at see what Chris Paul did, because even though Chris Paul been hurt, he switched over to that plant diet.
Chris changed his diet. He changed his diet. Yeah, but Chris is a below the rim player, and LeBron's an above the rim player. But you just mentioned the Suns about the uniqueness of their situation. That's why it was important for them to keep their core.
Yeah,
because guys know each other. You know what I mean? Like they were ahead of the game, everybody else in that sense. That they're keeping everybody. Now, I do think the Torrey Craig loss is a lot more significant than what it appeared to be when he went to Indiana. And then they're missing Sarge, because if they had Sarge, then they could play a different way where, you know, in terms of him coming out there and he could be a smaller 5 or a bigger 4. And Sarge is a good player, man. So they're missing him. But they have that chemistry there. And Chris just, you know, he holds people accountable. Devin is growing as a leader. Like I said, they obviously close. And then they got Jay Crowder. He's a leader. Mikel's growing. Ayton, we haven't seen him really enough. But, you know, as long as, if he gives them the double-double that he's been giving them, you know, they can live with that. They'll be fine with that. But I think he wants to give more because, again, it's a contract year. But I do think that chemistry that they built last year is carrying over to this year, even in this situation. And that's helping that, you know, that they know how the other person thinks and how they react to things. And sometimes knowing what somebody will do can help you prevent them from doing something. You know what I mean? Like if you know, okay, well, yeah, we know how he is. Come on, man, let's talk to him. Let's get him right, you know, because he could, you know, do this or that. You have that understanding of each other. And I always poke fun at this situation with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is the guy when he comes to your house, you're like, damn, he can't even tell us all what to do. He's that uncle that shows up and you're just like, damn. Uncle Ray, come over here and tell me what I didn't do last week. You know,
right.
That's what he is. He comes in and he just tells you, okay, you need to do this. 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 Hey, you, I forgot about you. You need to do that over there. Come on, man. And it's like, it's like this.
Yeah.
All the time. And that's why winning is so big, because if they were losing, that would be like, that wouldn't register the same. But because, you know, and if they're winning and it registers with the guys that, okay, and that's why I was big last year to get to the finals, because now Chris Paul says, hey, look, man, you need to be doing this. It's like, okay, he's right. I mean, they already respected him coming in, but then he showed them, and now it's just carryover. And it's just, you know, it's like he has more power on that team than probably any team he's ever been on. In terms of just that voice that you got to listen to, you got to hear, you can't, you know, he's having like, you know, he's, like I say, he's having sit downs with individuals, you know, with DeAndre Ayton, where they're going over film. Like, it's insane. Like I don't know, like I'm sure it happens around the league. I'm not going to say this is like an ISO situation, but I mean, he's in the coaches' huddle during timeouts. I do not know I've ever seen that consistently where the coaches are getting ready to huddle and Chris Paul is over there talking amongst the coaches. I mean, it's like that's their sanctuary. And Chris Paul just walks in it like, hello, I'm here. This is what I'm seeing.
And I do wonder though, is that because of his relationship with Monty Williams?
Oh, no question.
Because, you know, like you said, Monty Williams, he pretty much coached him as a rookie.
Right.
During his time in New Orleans, and they built that rapport building up to now. So I think that can play a role in why he has such a big
Oh,
voice
it is a role.
because of Monty Williams.
Yeah, it's a huge role. I mean, that's it. I mean, Monty even said that he welcomes it. I don't know if other coaches would be welcoming that. I'm sorry. Because a coach feels like, I'm the coach, you're the player. I'm a professional coach, you're the player. I get that you managing egos and all that, but there's still something to say that I'm the coach. And Monty Williams seems he welcomes it. He's like him and Chris talk all the time. Like all the time. Like they're watching games and from separate homes and texting each other during the games and not a game that they're playing in or the game that they're watching it themselves. It's of Mavs, Nuggets, something like that. And they're watching the game, texting. I mean, come on, man. That's I'm sure it goes down with other teams, but that's insane. Like they're waiting until 4 or 5 o'clock to start watching games every night when they're not playing. Insane.
Yeah,
that chemistry part is huge. That chemistry part on a lot of levels is why this team is able to respond to 1 and 3 and win 5 in a row. And some of those wins have been ugly. Like they haven't all been pretty. Matter of fact, if I go through all 5 of them, I can find something went wrong. Like that fourth quarter last night where they just, it was self-destruction. You headed for self-destruction. It was bad. It was bad. It was so bad, man. So but they won. So they're good with it. They won. I mean, they're unhappy with how they won. Like Monty Williams said last night, he said they're not giving it back. So there it is.
That's true. That's very true. Let me ask you this one of the last few questions I have. Because obviously, I think the last time I was on the show with you, it was about the Suns going deep into the playoffs. I think they was playing the Clippers. And you talked about how Mikal Bridges needed to be that X factor for them to get over the hump. How much of a continuancy does that need to be for the Suns to make it deep into the playoffs? I think it's huge for them, especially now that he signed that $90 million deal. You know, you got to show up and improve every year now. You got to live up to that contract that you got.
Right.
But like you said, Mikal Bridges is a growing two-way player who is very sound and very high IQ, like guy that is big, especially on the defensive end. I think he plays a huge role defensively when you talk about that backcourt with Jay Crowder. And Devin Booker slowly but surely improving defensively along with Chris Paul. How much of an impact do you really think Mikal Bridges has to be from an X factor perspective for the Suns to really get back to the NBA Finals?
If they're not going to run any offense through Ayton, which we just don't know because we, again, haven't seen Ayton enough. If they're not going to have a segment of their offense that runs through Ayton, where he's getting more shots. Ayton shoots the higher percentage, but it's all in the paint. So it's like, are you going to make Ayton a priority on the offensive end? Right now, they don't. They're just playing, with perimeter and then pick and roll and then lobs to JaVale or Kaminsky in the pocket. So they figured out a style without Ayton right now, and so I'll be curious to see how that evolves once Ayton gets back, which could be a while, by the way, considering what I saw yesterday in terms of him rehabbing. He just don't look right now. So I don't know, but we'll see. But Mikal is just, they've been talking about they need that third scorer, and Mikal could be that third scorer. I mean, he's capable of giving you 16, 18 a night. If he's being aggressive, because they want him to be aggressive. Because think about Mikal, he can score in a multitude of ways. He scores off cuts. He has a little dribble now, getting to the mid-range. He can get all the way to the basket. He shoots threes. He has pull-up game. I don't have that floater yet, but because he's so long, his mid-range is like, I don't know how you blocking that, because it's like he's shooting it high anyway, and he got arms for days. So he's someone that, and I've been, saying this, and defensively, he's one of the best in the league now. I mean, now he's got the reputation of that. Now that helps him in terms of how he can defend people. He can be more aggressive. Now with the non-basketball moves, he can be even more aggressive in terms of, laying on people or reaching for the ball. And he was picking up Trae Young nearly 94 feet. And I'm sitting there going, and we know Trae gets it done. This is no knock on Trae Young. We know he gets shots. I mean, he was shimmying on the Suns in that fourth quarter when he hit a three and he shimmied on him. I'm like, oh, this could be problematic for the Suns, but the Suns end up winning the game. It was wild. That's what I mean. Another example of an ugly win. But Mikal, I think in the ideal world, and this is very ideal, in the sense of it's probably not going to happen. but I think ideally, Chris Paul would not have a problem being the third leading scorer and averaging 14, 15 assists, doing what Steve Nash did late in his career and letting someone else be the second leading scorer. And that person should be DeAndre Ayton, theoretically, because he's the more talented player. But it could be Mikal Bridges if he's more aggressive, if he continues to be aggressive. He had stretch last night where he was going for it. And I was like, wow, like he's getting to the basket, he's pulling up, he's just he's shooting threes. It was that third quarter when they really got out big, up by 24. He just doesn't do that consistently enough. The players want him to do it. Chris Paul wants him to do it. Devin Booker wants him to do it. When your two stars are co-signing, shoot the ball more, then it's just on him to be more aggressive. So if he's more aggressive, he could average. I think Chris Paul would be quite content being a third leading scorer and then closing out games, when they need a bucket, because he's still, you put the ball in his hands. I mean, it's amazing how someone of his size can still get any shot he wants. I mean, it's just like, it's wild. Like you're watching and you're going, this guy's 17 years in the league. And he just gets wherever he wants on the court. Like, when's somebody gonna knock him on his ass? See what happens. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I've seen other guys, they just like, yo, no, we're not having this. And again, it's, we're in a different era. I keep thinking we're in a 90s.
Yeah. There's a little change. I mean, they're trying to bring it back, it seems.
I keep thinking I used to see AI get knocked down. Yo, come on, man. Hey, come on. This is rough stuff y'all doing to AI, you know what I mean? But he get right back up and go at it. But so it's like, I just wonder, I think that Chris Paul would be content in that role. Now, I personally don't think it's going to happen. I think they still need Chris Paul to score big. But if Mikal Bridges was more aggressive and took on that role of, I'm trying to get 19, 20 a night. That's the goal. But he's just not that player as of right now. That just, I don't want to call it hunting shots, but just, go get your shot.
Mm-hmm.
All right, not just in the offense. Okay, you got the ball, boom, boom, go get your shot. Whether that's, creating for, because he doesn't create to shoot threes yet. He creates to get mid-range. See, there's certain guys that can do all three. They get to the basket, they create mid-range, and they create to shoot threes. That's Steph. That's James Harden. That's elite guys. Mikal has got probably, in terms of creating, he got the mid-range, he's close, he can get to the basket in the half court, but he scores in transition, which is what, he's a finisher, which is what, a lot of guys, that create off the bounce aren't also the finisher of transition stuff where you just throw it ahead, and I mean, there are guys out there that can do that, but he could be that second leading scorer if he was more aggressive. But I don't know if that's in him to do that. But I think Chris Paul would be fine with being the third scorer, knowing that if the game's close at the end, it's Hove, it's takeover, So I think he would be fine with that. But I don't know if Mikal is ready to take on that responsibility. Because that's like, even for example, when they had Oubre there, Oubre was going for it. I mean, he was putting up, it reached the point you look at the box score, you're like, Oubre took more shots than Devin. I mean, you saw it more times than you probably would think that Oubre was going for, but Oubre ended up being the second leading scorer on the team because he was taking shots. He was being aggressive. Can Mikal get in that mode of being aggressive and taking more shots? I think if he did, then Chris Paul would be cool with being a third guy and averaging a boatload of assists and just taking over in the fourth quarter when necessary. So that's just an interesting dynamic that is a possibility, but I doubt it. I doubt it happens. But it could. But if it did, that would change this team in a lot of ways because Mikal, it would show that it would show that continual growth that he's been showing. So
yeah, that's very interesting to see. Hopefully that can happen. I would love to see that happen. And like you mentioned earlier, I love to see the league get a bit more physical too, because the Jokic situation was hilarious to me.
Yeah.
I thought it was hilarious to see that, even though, basketball-wise as a player, you don't want to do that. It's not right.
Right.
But, being a little tough, a little bit more physical out there, making it difficult on each other. They have some passion behind what you do. It's
Right.
out of the league as of late. So to see that, all right, cool. I can mess with that a little bit.
That was a little rough. I was like, wow. But Jokic did that in the playoffs against the Suns. He fouled, I can't remember who it was, but Devin got in his face like, yo, what's this all about, man? What are you doing? So, Jokic has been like, it's interesting because it's like he seems like he's this unassuming guy. When you talk to him, he's hilarious. The dude is funny. Like if you sit and do an interview with him, he is hilarious. So to see kind of this mild-mannered, funny, skilled, highly skilled basketball player, go Rodman on somebody, that was pretty wild, to see that happen. So especially with one of the Morris twins now. The Morris twins everyone had no problem doing what they do. They come at you. So for him to do that against one of those two, I'm like, whoa. The Morris twins is some rough riders. And he went at one of them like that. Okay. And then the Jokic brothers are saying, look, man, we don't need WWF, WCW. We don't need that in the game. But it's just wild. I'm like, wow, this whole scene has been crazy. So I was surprised to see Jokic's reaction like that. I thought when I initially saw the play, I thought, oh, Jokic is just gonna get in his face, and then they're gonna, break it up or whatever. But then he just boom, like Jokic is a big boy. He's a big man, right? He's not what's my man in Orlando, the skinny brother. I can't think of his name. Mo.
Mo Bamba.
Yeah, he's not him. He got a lot more weight behind him. So that was wild. I was surprised that he took it there. And so it'd be very interesting to see. I don't know. Has he been suspended?
Not that I know of.
I would be shocked if he wasn't suspended for that. But I don't know how many games. But I would be shocked if he wasn't. Because that was just in the back. That's a sportsmanlike conduct in football.
Yeah.
It's 15 yards and ejection. which he got ejected. So yeah, I don't know how long that 15 yards going to be. They're going to be 2 games, 5 games, 3 games. Very curious to see how the NBA, because they got to set a tone. You can't just allow a player to do that, even though he felt disrespected on the front end of that. Can't allow a player to do that, because if you start allowing that, now you got a league that's out of control, where you're seeing like Kirk Rambis getting clotheslined in the finals. You can just YouTube it. I know you're young, so you can just YouTube that if you want to see what McHale. I think it was McHale. Clothesline Kirk Rambis, and then Kareem and Bird and Doc choking Larry Bird. See, that's 80s, man. That's that rough stuff. See that's that rough stuff. These guys now, they don't have to worry about some of that. But if you allow stuff like that to continue, but what Jokic did, you get back to the 80s real quick. Now, you get back to that if you start allowing that. So they got to do something, and suspension is the only way. You got to empty his pockets a little bit. Suspension to really send the message like this isn't tolerated. So I'm curious to see what the NBA does.
Yeah, I am too, man. I am too. What you got coming up, man? What's new that our audience should be following and checking up on you, man? Like, what you got coming up for us?
I mean, it's Sarver. Until it's over, it's Sarver. It's the Suns. I got a couple stories coming later, but some other stuff. I mean, it's not just Sarver, but that's the focal point. I mean, that's where it is. I mean, the season is going on. You got to respect it. And excuse me. Excuse me. You got to respect the season. You got to cover the season because your readers still want to know what you think or about what's going on with the game, so that you can't ignore that. But can't ignore what's going on with these allegations and the investigation now underway. Like I said, the phone is ringing off the hook. So, there's things to be written and said. And I know I have another Sarver story this week for sure, at least one more, if not 2. But then, of course, they got a road trip coming up. They're playing Memphis. I can't wait. At Memphis, I can't wait. Because I don't know if Dylan Brooks is back. I'm getting ready to look it up right now to see if Dylan Brooks is back. But if Dylan Brooks is back, this guy loves him some Devin Booker. Like he sees red when he plays against Booker. Now they're saying he'll be back in the lineup pretty soon. Not given the date it looks like, but listen, man, if Dylan Brooks is back, I'm telling you, that could be fun. That could be big fun right there. So, they don't want to put a timetable on it, but then like I said, you got Memphis, and they're playing Houston again. I like that Jalen Green kid. I just think, he's got to hit the weight room. Yeah. Once he does that, it's a wrap. I mean, the boy can. I mean, he's fluid. He can shoot it a little bit. Get to the cup. Offensively, the guy has no limits that I can see right now. He just needs to be strong. He needs to get stronger. And then they play Minnesota in the second of a back-to-back. And so, that's always every time Phoenix plays Minnesota, it's the whole Devin Booker, Karl Anthony Towns storyline, and Towns, and there's Suns fans here that would love to have Karl Anthony Towns play with Devin Booker here. I mean, it's insane, man. Like, Towns is a hell of a player. But that talk kind of lessened after they got to the finals with Ayton.
Right.
That was another thing. We talked about the talk with Ayton. That was another thing. Suns fans have been wanting Karl Anthony Towns instead of Ayton. But you heard less of that after they made that run with Ayton playing so well in the postseason. So, but yeah, they got 3 games on the road. So obviously, I'll be on the road. Trusting our friendly airlines to make it happen. So I'm not sitting there waiting 4 hours to fly out. So I'm praying every day, brother. I mean, really. Like when I show up at the airport, all jokes aside, when I show up at the airport, it's like this, for real. Because it's crazy out here, man, what's going on with these power outages,
Yeah.
at different, there was one here in Phoenix. There was one when I was flying out of Portland. Like, yo, let's do something, okay, to get this fixed, get this resolved. It's too much of that going on for it to be off. So, but lastly, I'll just leave you. I tell you what, man. The Bulls, I got something in the shot now. Yeah. I know y'all a little cautious about it. I know you're a little cautious about what might be happening there. But I'm telling you, man, that first 5, 6, 7 dudes, they got some dudes, and I've always liked Levine because I think that his potential was high too. His ceiling was high. Now you're starting to see that. But Alonzo, I get it. He's solid. The big boy they got last year, in there. But DeRozan, to me, has been the difference with this team. I mean, this guy, they talk about the whole pros pro thing. That gets thrown out there a lot. But this dude is that and can still get you points, still get you buckets, and he's just a really good player. Like I used to have debates all the time, a buddy of mine, and he would win them all. He would win them anyway. We used to argue, who would you take, DeRozan or Paul George? And I was always on the DeRozan. And he was like, man, Paul George shoots the three. Paul George does this. Paul George does that. I was like, look, man, I'm not knocking all that. I agree wholeheartedly with you. But I know what I'm going to get with DeRozan every night. I don't know what I'm going to get every night with Paul George. Now, this was back a few years ago.
Right.
When he was, I think Paul George is playing the best basketball of his career. Now, this isn't today's Paul George we're talking about. We're talking about years earlier Paul George, before he got to the Clippers.
Right.
So this was before that, when he was still a great player, but he just had moments where he just didn't play well. And I'm not saying DeRozan didn't, because I didn't even know where he was when they played the Cavs that one year in the conference finals. Like I was looking for him, like where he at? Like I can't find you. Like I was wondering where, they get lost because him and Lowry just didn't show up for that series when they had a shot to get to the finals. But that all being said, DeRozan, man, he's a consistent player. He's tough. He can get to the rim. His mid-range is insane. He's one of the few guys that have lived with that and not tried to be this volume three-point shooter. He's physical. He's just a really good player. And he's solidified that team. And they've beaten the Jazz and they've beaten Brooklyn. Oh, man. It's like, I know Philly. It seemed like Philly might have a number, but that's okay. The Bulls now know, okay, look, that's the team right there. We know that we got to handle that. But they beat Brooklyn. That's a big win. And I thought the Utah win was big, at that moment. And then have a couple stumbles and then come back and beat Brooklyn, And plus, I mean, I got a little issue with Coach Donovan still, but we're still homies, we're still homies. See, and I'm gonna leave you with this because I'm done because I got to get back to work. Here's the deal. I'm gonna tell you this quick Billy Donovan story. You can keep it, take it, leave it, sub it out, whatever. I'm a Marshall University grad. So Billy Donovan shows up. He was coaching under Pitino. And Marshall, look, man, we needed some help. All right, needed help bad. Basketball was bleak, and so we hired Billy Donovan, and it was like, wow, okay. I remember Billy, Providence, Final Four, Played for Patino, coached under Patino, Kentucky. They were shooting a bunch of threes. This is Mashburn and all that. Okay, yeah, hire him, bring him in. Shows up, puts on the green jacket. Like, okay, this is real. We got a coach now. Okay, then. He goes, yeah, we're going to do this. He's talking that style of play, and they're going to shoot a bunch of threes. They're going to play whoever. And they did. They were playing games at 10 o'clock at night. They was playing in Nevada. They was going all over the place getting games just to get on television. Yeah, we're going to go to the Sweet 16. Come on, man. We didn't go to the Sweet 16 with Hal Greer. He's top 75 players of all time. Now you're going to go to Sweet 16 with guys I ain't never even heard of before. Come on, man. Then he goes, get into the Elite Eight. Billy, stop it, man. You can be honest with us, all right? It's okay. You can say, we're going to just try to improve as a program and leave it at that. Don't come at us with this Elite Eight stuff. It's not happening, all right? We'll take a conference championship, okay? And just get in the tournament. How about that? So anyway, Jason Williams, he signs with Marshall. Largely because of Billy Donovan. Probably solely because of Billy Donovan. He shows up, freshman year, balling. I mean, he doing it. You know, he was distributing like he did. You know, he still, that was his game, get other guys involved. They beat our rival, WVU. I was like, yo, it's about to go down for real. You know, like we got something with this right here. We got shooters, we got a big man, and we got a point guard that can play. Oh, it was on. And then Donovan takes the job at Florida. I can respect that. You know, you want to coach in the SEC. I get that. Jason Williams goes with him. So he takes the best player we got after just one season here at Marshall. And Jason Williams goes to Florida, red shirts, then he plays, then he goes to the league and obviously becomes one of the most exciting players in the league. You think he could have did that at Marshall for another year or two, maybe? Yeah, he could have. Like, it was just wrong, man. You know, and it caught a lot of flack. You know, people in Huntington was upset. They talking about suing. It was big deal. Mm-hmm. You know, you're talking about one of the best athletes ever played in the state comes in Marshall, and then it don't work out. Now we got Moss to come play. Moss played football. That made up for it a little bit. And I'm a hoop guy. So I was, if Moss would have played basketball, that would have really made up for it. But I'm a hoop guy. So I'm sitting there like, yo, what's up? So later on in life, covering the SEC basketball tournament, I've never done this before. So after Billy Donovan was done, comes out, he's done his interview. I'm waiting for him outside of the door. Yeah, waiting for him outside of the door. He comes out. I said, Coach, probably don't remember me, but Marshall grad, and you were talking a lot of big stuff, about leading Marshall to the Sweet 16, Elite 8. I got press pass on everything. I don't even care at this point. Yo, this is my hometown city, my hometown university, and you left us high and dry and took our best player. So I'm like, yo, man, what's up with that? You made some promises. What's up? He goes, I was saving those for when I went to Florida. I said, okay. That's cool. That's cool, Coach. I can respect that. He was laughing. I was laughing. Every time I've talked with him since, it's been cool. He's been cool. He's been good to me. But I had to get it off my chest, man. He set the program back a few years with that.
Yeah.
He bought it like that. But he's a great coach. He's a great coach. And so I think you're seeing that. When they made that hire initially, it was like, but you're seeing, he's got players. You still have to have players. A lot of guys that can coach don't have players. Got
Right.
players that they need to get a little deeper. Maybe when Kobe White comes back, curious how that works. But they got a team, man. Bulls, y'all, the Bulls fans, y'all should be proud, man. You know, yeah, maybe this can buffer off that Scottie Pippen nonsense. Scottie, my brother. Wow. I don't know what's wilder, his hair or what he's saying about Mike. It is absolutely insane. Come on, Scottie.
Hey,
I love Scottie as a player, but yo, Scottie got to get it off his chest. You know what, Scottie? You say what you got to say, bro.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I just want to, read his book. I want to read his book with his spirits, and
no question.
Just see what
I'm buying the book. Is it out yet?
Came out today. I actually got it pre-ordered to me. So
you know what?
It's at the house, at the other residence right now. I get it tomorrow. So
hey, I'm right there with you. I might get it tonight because it's only 7:44 here. So something's open that has it. So I'm about to do this Google. I'm about to get off of here, do a little work, do this Google search, see where it's at. I got to read this because Scottie is just unloading on folks. Bruh.
Yeah. I gotta check it out. And
no doubt.
One of the few people that, openly wrote and commented about how DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine will work when millions of people said it wouldn't.
Oh yeah.
That's
kudos to you. Shit.
It's in my back pocket. I got to put that in my back pocket.
Oh no, you got to pull that out. Ain't no putting in the back pocket. you got to spend that money any chance you get. You put that in your back pocket if it don't work. Right now it's working. You got to spend that a little bit. Yeah, you got to put that out there. Yeah, I was one of the few that believed that it would work. I didn't see why it wouldn't. I mean, LaVine, to me, I get they kind of play similar, but LaVine's game is more spread out than I think. And he has a different way. DeRozan is a downhill player.
Yeah.
LaVine is all over the board with it. And so I think that plays well. I think they complement each other really well. Again, Lonzo being a guy that, wants to control, as far as be a distributor and everything, but you can put the ball in DeRozan's hands or LaVine's hands, you can get a bucket.
Yep.
If you got two guys that can do that for you, you got a team. That's what the Suns have. That's what the Lakers, when they get everybody right, will have. Dallas kind of has that. Golden State, they're doing it by, the ball move, but you can get a ball to Steph, and he had some shots there last night. I'm sorry. I ain't never seen nothing like that. I'm sorry. The accuracy and the way he gets off shots. There's guys that get off shots like that.
Right.
But to hit him like he does, come on, man. Like I said, let's get December here, man. Let's get it here now. Suns, Warriors, 3 games in December. I keep stressing it. I keep promoting it. I can't wait till it happens. So,
yeah.
So we're good. If we need anything else, brother, let me know. Because, I got stories to do. Because if I don't,
oh man,
then I'll be calling y'all for a job.
We trying to wrap it up. Just get everybody your social media real quick where they can find you, and we'll end this thing out.
There it is. Duane Rankin, DuaneRankin on Twitter, and then I have an Instagram that is growing just slowly. It's a slow drip right now. Rank Barnes. I don't want to get into explaining why it's called that. It's just a long story. So it's a tribute. It's a tribute to one of my homies, but he gave me that nickname. So I'm not going to explain why that, because that's a whole nother episode that don't need to be. You know how they say the revolution will not be televised? Knowing how that name came will not be televised either. It's not nearly as serious, but it's not getting out there. Not today. Maybe when it blows up, I'll do a post explaining it. But right now, nah, we're not going there. So, but yeah, that's my Instagram. Hey man, good to be on, man. Like this is cool. Like Kyle, you tell Kyle, emails, man. The guy he's super persistent. I'm like, yo, man, I got it. All right, we'll make it happen. But that's my dog. So that's my dog. So everything is cool, man. Appreciate having me on, and keep doing your thing, brother. Keep handling your business, man. You're doing good work. So I'm happy for y'all, and keep handling your business. And the Bulls, man, the Bulls are back. Wow.
I mean,
Scotty's still gonna be able to come to the games, though. Does Scotty still come to the games?
the Scotty, I doubt it. I think he fell out. Because he's not the ambassador with them anymore. Joakim Noah took that. So I think
Wow.
So I think
Joe Kim may come to the games?
well, they just happened. It
Okay.
just happened for him to get that. So I'm pretty sure he'll come to the games more often or more appearances more often. They got rid of Scotty for that. But Scotty does come around because he was at the Chicago Sky Phoenix Mercury closeout game.
Yeah.
Step out a little bit in the shot, but not like that.
Wow. That's crazy. That's crazy.
As we wrap this up, man, everybody, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Josh M. Hicks Media, and you can follow War Media on all podcast platforms, War on Acre, as well as YouTube, War Media, Instagram and Twitter, War Media. We got a lot of great stuff coming your way, including this episode of this podcast you can get on all podcast platforms plus YouTube. Duane, man, thank you so much for coming on my show. I know you're a busy guy, phones blowing up and everything because you're just that dude. But, I appreciate you taking some time out your schedule to talk to your boy and give us
I ain't that dude, but the phone is blowing up. But I'm not that dude, but the phone is blowing up. I appreciate you having me on, brother. Keep doing your thing and keep making it happen.
For sure. I gotta get you if you're coming to Chicago when the Suns play the Bulls, you gotta link up.
There it is. Kyle, I guess Kyle can be included.
Nah, I appreciate you, man.
All right, guy. Easy. Yes, sir.